In this video, I'm going to share with you some of my 26 years of experience with buying cars from the southernmost states. Now, I just picked up this GMC Terrain 2014 from the great state of Florida. Now, I live in northern Illinois where cars are pretty much rusty after about 4 or 5 years. If you ever got to work on a rusty car, you know it's a pain in the butt. So about every 3 years, we typically buy a newer car from one of the southern states. So that way, as we drive it around here in northern Illinois for about 2 to 3 years, it's still in excellent shape when I go to resell it, and I get a lot more money for it. But if you're going to start buying cars from the southern states, maybe you're going to fly down, drive it back like I do, there's just a couple things you need to be made aware of, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, if you buy a vehicle in the great state of Florida and you're going to bring it up to northern Illinois or some other northern states, you may need a natural disaster disclosure statement. And this basically shows the VIN number, the previous owner, and you're going to have some check marks on here that it was not in a natural disaster, it was not in any flooded areas, it's never had any flood damage, before your state is going to title it. So let's say you go down to Florida, you buy a car, you bring it back up north, you turn in your title, you want your tax, title, license all done. Illinois is not going to title it without this statement. So maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, there was lots of flooding, lots of natural disasters in Florida. A lot of people were picking those cars up dirt cheap, bringing them to the northern states, reselling them, making a lot of money. People were going and getting titles. They were getting their titles back and then discovering it was in a flood. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons. But the number one thing I highly recommend you check on is that natural disaster disclosure statement. So now we can move on to the second thing you're definitely going to want to check on when buying a vehicle from the southern states. Now, in the southern states, it is extremely hot, it is extremely sunny, and that sun does not play well with tires. As you can see these tires here, you see all the cracking all the way around? That is typical of a Florida car or a southern car. Now I'm going to show you up here, look at the tread. As you can see, the tread on this tire is excellent, probably about 80%. But this is what happens with southern vehicles, is that sun is beating down on these tires for about 11 months out of the year. Some states, very southern part of Florida, 12 months a year that sun is beating on this tire and is causing it to dry out and causing all the cracking. Another thing to consider before you buy that southern car or that Florida car, you want to make sure that it has been garage kept or covered in a carport. Because as you can see on this roof, and this hood is still perfect because this car was garage kept. But a lot of southern cars, there's only been a few in my past that I've purchased that were not garage kept. The clear coat will start to peel on the hood and on the roof, and the paint will start to fade. So that's one question you want to ask a seller is, has this car been covered under a carport or stored in a garage? The batteries in those southern states just don't have the cold crank amps as they do in the batteries of the northern states. So let's say you go to Florida, buy a car, the guy says, hey, I put a brand new battery in it for you. That's great, but that battery is not going to hold up when it's 0 degrees out in northern Illinois with 24 inches of snow on the ground. The car may just not start. So plan on replacing the battery before wintertime. So in conclusion, what I want you guys to take from this is to double check your local laws and make sure you need or don't need that natural disaster disclosure statement. Also, when you're making an offer to purchase, make sure that you kind of realize you may have to buy all 4 new tires. You may have to buy a new battery. Also, you want to ask the seller, has it been garage kept or kept under a carport? A lot of the roofs of those Florida cars, you can see the clear coat start to peel, and then usually the hood comes later. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and the information was helpful, and thanks for watching.